Hey, and welcome to the Megan Waldrop podcast. I'm Megan. I'm so happy to have you here. If you've been here before, so thrilled that we get to hang out again. Thank you for your time. And if you're new here, pull up a chair. This is a place for us to ask these deep questions, have these curious conversations. I like to say that it's like sitting on a back porch late at night. And, sometimes these conversations can be spiritual, existential, or just plain old like what it means to be human, like figuring out how we can have more joy in our lives and feel good inside of our bodies. Not so much on the outside, but on the inside. Like, how do we feel good on the inside? There's no wrong answers. I always like to say BYOB, bring your own beliefs, because we're all about expansion and growth and whatever that means to you in this moment. So today we're talking about the easy way to build your intuition because it can be challenging. I know for many people that I've spoken with is like, do you have a good grasp on your intuition? Do you feel like you trust your gut enough? And a lot of people are like, no, I don't. And that's okay because I totally get it. There's so many friggin' distractions out there. There's so many opinions out there that it can be very noisy to even figure out what you truly feel. So it's like, how often do we say, I don't know, or I need to think about it, or let me ask someone? And thing is, it's like, yeah, maybe in the moment we feel rushed, which by the way, we don't have to feel too rushed to answer anything ever. But what if we know, I mean, the answer is already inside of us. And so I wanted to bring up the pendulum idea. I don't know if you've ever heard of a pendulum. I don't have mine with me, but I have used it before, but I'm going to explain what it is. So if you've never heard of a pendulum, it's basically it's a fun visual tool that you can use to access information that's already happening beneath your conscious awareness. So basically, you can use it as a tool to see how your body actually reacts to certain questions, yes or no questions. So it's all about trusting your internal signals. And so you can buy a pendulum at a store. They're usually on a chain and they look like a little I'm not like a triangle, but there's obviously a mathematical term for this shape, but it has a point. It could be maybe a triangle sometimes. Um, and usually they're made out of crystals or different types of things like that. I've seen people pluck a strand from their hair and put a ring at the bottom, like loop the ring through the little strand of hair and use it for the ring to dangle down. Also, I've just used one. I used a necklace. So this is a necklace I wear all the time. And I just put my pendant at the very end of the chain. So it's kind of like this. So how I even heard about this, and this is getting back to the intuition. Don't worry, you don't need a pendulum for any of this. I just want to explain kind of where this came from is I remember my friend talking about she was with somebody and she was pregnant and she hadn't figured out the sex of the baby yet. And so the friend said, well, why don't we try the pendulum? So she plucked a piece of hair from her head and then used her wedding ring and looped the the ring through the hair and had it dangling, sort of like this. And so then she would ask certain questions like, what do you think the sex of my child is? And basically, she's asking herself what she thinks. And at first, I thought it sounded super witchy, like, oh, this is a way to predict the future, but it's not. It's not at all witchy or anything about predicting the future. It's about practicing your intuition. It's not a magical object, okay? Because why this even is a concept? It's called the ideomotor effect. Think I'm explaining, I said this correctly. Ideomotor effect, which is, I'm going to read this directly from what it means. It's a biomechanical explanation for what happens when with a pendulum, where your subconscious mind is processing information that you can create tiny involuntary movements in your muscles. And so the pendulum actually amplifies those movements. So making something that you might not consciously feel, like you might not know right off this is how you feel, but if you're using this little tool, your body actually contracts different muscles to say yes or no. And so that's how you can tell what your subconscious truly feels, which is kind of freaking cool if you think about it. But so your brain is constantly processing information, right? And some of that information isn't always readily available for us to feel like we can make very sure decisions. But these subconscious signals create those little muscle movements. And so your hand and fingers move ever so slightly. You could hold your hand as still as possible and still this will happen. Your muscles will make the pendulum either swing one way to mean yes or one way to mean no. So it's not necessarily the pendulum giving you the answers or telling the future. It's actually your body telling it. And so let me just walk you through the pendulum thing if you ever want to try it. So you start by having a pendulum or a necklace like I do. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see this. I have my necklace and I have the little pendant at the bottom of the necklace so it doesn't fall through the chain. And so you start with, and I'm not going to do the full pendulum with you because I feel like it might take too much time, but I'm going to kind of exaggerate what it looks like. I just tried it on this necklace, so it does work. So you basically start with questions that you know are true. They're always yes or no questions. So I'll say, my name is Megan, and the pendulum will swing one way. And I'm like, okay, so that means this is a true question. This means true if it's swinging to the right. I am currently in Charleston, South Carolina, and it will continue to swing to the correct, whatever the correct direction is for this pendulum. And then you can ask something that you know is false. You could be like, my name is Lauren, and the pendulum starts going the other way. I currently am in California, and it continues to go the wrong way or the other way, opposite way. So you know which direction is yes or no. And everybody may experience the movement differently in different ways. So it's not that you ask these big questions like, should I quit my job? Like, don't start off that deep. You can start off with, do I want coffee or tea? Or do I want Italian food? Or do I want to go on a walk? And it's just building a muscle to notice your preference, really. And like I said, you do not need to have a pendulum. It's just kind of a fun little game to try. But the thing is, you ask yourself, this, like, when was the last time you had a gut feeling about something before you could explain why? What did you seem to know before you consciously knew that you knew it? Maybe it was about a certain person or a job or a trip, or maybe it was even directions or eating a certain food or going to an event or a family gathering or, something that gave you vibes before you even stepped into the door. That's the whole intuition part. It's not about needing the pendulum. It's about like, wait, what about those vibes? Like, how do I know this? So this is something that you can do internally. It's like, okay, ask yourself yes or no questions. And then you notice, how does your body feel when you imagine yes? So if you're like, my name's Megan, where do you feel the yesness in your body that you know it's true? Does your body soften? Does it expand? Does it relax? Does it feel lighter? So then you can imagine no, like what feels like, what's a no question, I'm currently in California. It's like, okay, you kind of feel your body contract. Maybe you feel like tighten, maybe you feel heaviness, maybe you feel resistance. It's the simple internal gauge, if you will, to figure out what feels like the right direction to go to in that moment. So you're basically learning to translate your body's language. So here's an easy, quick 7-day experiment that you can do. Every day, you can make 3 tiny decisions based on your first internal response. So something simple, just like, what do I want for breakfast? Do I want eggs or do I want oatmeal? And you could say, do I want eggs? And you see how your body, does it expand? Does it feel warm? Does it soften? Do you feel lighter? Or maybe no, maybe it's tightening, contracting, you feel heavy, maybe you resist it. It's like, oh, wait, do I want oatmeal? Okay. How does that feel? Which shirt do I want to wear? And you can look at the shirt. Do I want to wear this shirt or do I want to wear this shirt? How do you feel when you're holding this shirt? How do you feel like when you're holding this shirt? Do I want to answer this text right now? Yes or no? See how your body feels. Do I want to go somewhere tonight? Simple questions that you can try. Or you can even decide which book, movie, or podcast sounds interesting. Do I want to listen to this podcast? Do I want to watch a movie? It's so interesting. It's all about just noticing. It's the goal isn't always to be right. It's always just becoming familiar with your own signals. I hope this made sense. It's even like, the other day I was deciding, okay, do I want kombucha or do I want tea? And I literally just felt, I closed my eyes, I held the tea bag, and I had the kombucha, and I was like, do I want kombucha or tea? And I just sat with it. It was like, well, your body's either going to say yes or no. So do I want tea or do I want kombucha? And it was interesting because it was like, wait, which one does it feel lighter? Which one feels more expansive when I say yes? And just little practices like that feels like lifting weights, like you're building muscle in that way. So just try it. Just three tiny decisions, nothing huge life decisions, but these are all ways to feel inside your body. Like what actually feels expansive? And eventually it's going to be easier to understand whenever you're making bigger decisions. You're like, okay, I need to sit with this. I have some big decisions coming up too that I've been working on this and praying and meditating with. And I'm like, okay, today, how does this feel? Do I still want to do this? And I'll ask deeper questions. How will this, do I feel like I will feel supported if I make this move? Will I feel financially supported if I make this move? Will I feel more, I guess, less responsibilities in my life if I make this move? Like where's the yeses, where are the nos? Like what's going on here? But it's just interesting because it allows you to really tune into your body and get the yes or no, which by the way, there's no wrong answer ever. It's just which one feels like it's going to serve you most, like which one's going to be more supportive. Because sometimes our heads can tell us one thing, but our bodies, our bodies are telling us another. And so just trying these simple little techniques to gather more strength for your intuition and build that gut strength. Super easy. You can do it anywhere at any time. Do I want to take this route to work? Do I want to take this route to work? It's just simple stuff, nothing huge. And if you wanted to try the pendulum thing, you could literally get a necklace or whatever. It's fun. It's fun to see. But, just know that it's not some futuristic magical tool that's going to change your life because you're the magical tool that's going to change your life. It's all about tuning in and finding how to decipher and to communicate that language from your body to your soul, to your heart, to your brain. And that's how it's always going to help us pave that path forward. It's all these little decisions that we're making that are just going to help everything open up a little easier and help us get to where we need to be quicker. It's always going to work out in the end. And this is something that I learned too. I heard this the other day. It's always going to work out in the end. And if it's not working out right now, it's not the end. Just keep going. Practice these little intuition games. The intuition isn't necessarily knowing about the future. It's sometimes simply about becoming quiet enough to feel what your body already knows is true. Thank you so much for being here. Have fun practicing your intuition. I'll be doing it over here too. I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoy this, share it or please leave a review. Would always love to. That helps grow our community and get more people to, join our back porch conversations. You could leave a review or 5-star review or even a little note. Always helpful. And you can email me at support@meganwaldrop.com. Love hearing from you always. Thanks so much for being here. And until next time.